Welcome back to our channel, the channel where we bring you the stories they tried to silence, the voices they tried to ignore, and the triumphs that came from standing tall when the world expected us to bow. Today's story is about a young man named Jalen Brooks, and the cold morning that nearly broke him until power showed up and stood beside him. Jalen Brooks. That name didn't mean much to the people behind those country club doors. Not yet. But to his community in Eastbrook, he was already something rare, a spark, a signal that the system hadn't swallowed everyone. Jalen was 21, but he lived more than most men twice his age. His story didn't start with privilege, or connections, or polished speeches and polished shoes. It started with a hand-me-down suit, a tie that barely reached his chest, and shoes with soles worn thin from chasing a dream. On a cold Thursday morning, he stood in front of the Aspen Ridge Country Club, invitation in hand, breath clouding in the air, nerves clenching his chest tighter with every second. This was it, the citywide youth entrepreneurship gala, a room full of CEOs, investors, city leaders, and media, where one pitch, just one good pitch, could change a life. He had spent 2 years building his app, one that taught coding to underserved kids in Eastbrook. He didn't have a marketing team, just a busted laptop and a vision. He worked nights at a gas station, tutored on weekends, saved every dollar to get that prototype running. He earned his spot here. His nomination came from the local youth council. His name was printed right there in gold ink, but none of that mattered, not to the doorman, not to the woman at the front desk, and especially not to the tall man in the tailored navy suit, who stared at him like a problem, not a person. "You lost, young man." The man's voice was clipped. His name tag read, Mr. Glenford, Operations Manager. Jalen held up the sealed envelope, his fingers cold but steady. "No, sir. I'm here for the gala. I'm one of the youth nominees." Glenford's smirk was sharp. "Guests don't come through this entrance." Jalen blinked. "But this is the entrance listed on the invite." "I don't care what that paper says." Glenford cut in, his voice louder now. Firm. Final. "We've had issues before with people trying to sneak in." That pause before the word people, it screamed more than any slur could. Jalen knew that tone, that look, that coded language. The kind that always started polite, but ended with him being pushed out the side door. He tried again, showed his ID, his email confirmation, even scrolled to the RSVP link. But the door still didn't open. And the crowd? It grew. Well-dressed attendees flowing past him. Some looked at him like he was part of the landscaping. Others like he might be trouble. He was no longer a guest. He was an obstacle, a question mark, a threat wrapped in brown skin and threadbare shoes. He heard the whispers. Maybe he's lost. Is he security? Valet maybe? His ears burned. His chest felt hollow. This was the door to his future. But they treated him like he didn't even have the right to knock. He looked down at his phone. His thumb hovered over one number, the one contact saved under only call if it's life or death. He didn't want to use it. But this was the death of a dream. He hit dial. "Hello." A calm, familiar voice on the other end. "Mayor Evans, it's Jalen Brooks. I think I messed up." He didn't tell her everything. He didn't have to, because 2 years ago, he was the kid standing in front of City Hall, holding a cardboard sign, protesting the closure of Eastbrook's only tech center. He was 17, angry, loud, and raw. Most politicians would have brushed him aside, but not Mayor Lydia Evans. She invited him to coffee, asked questions no one ever had, and listened like his story mattered. She once told him, "People like us don't inherit power, Jalen. We build it, and when the doors won't open, we knock until the walls shake. 15 minutes later, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the club's valet circle. Out stepped Mayor Evans, in her signature red coat, unbothered by the cold or the chaos. She walked past the valet, past the frozen front desk staff, and stopped right in front of Glenford. Her eyes didn't blink. Is there a reason my guest is standing outside while this building pretends to celebrate equity and innovation? Glenford stuttered. Ma'am, I wasn't aware. You weren't aware that a young innovator with a confirmed invite was being locked out of an event he was nominated for? He didn't look like. Glenford stopped himself, but it was too late. Mayor Evans raised an eyebrow. Like what exactly? He mumbled. He just didn't look like a guest. That was the final straw. Mayor Evans turned to Jalen, linked her arm through his, and said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Then now he's not just a guest. He's my guest. And if he's not allowed in, neither am I. And then she turned, looked at the gathering donors, the camera crews, the volunteers, and said, and maybe none of you should be either. Silence, then chaos. The door flung open so fast it nearly hit the wall. A swarm of apologies followed. Suddenly, Jalen was Sir. Suddenly, everyone remembered his name. Glenford? Nowhere in sight. Inside, the gala was stunning. Chandeliers like falling stars. Silver place settings. Tables lined with names Jalen had only read about in magazines. But his hands still trembled. His knees still felt weak. Mayor Evans leaned in. You still ready to pitch? He looked down at his notes, then back at her, more than ever. And he walked up to that stage in his slightly too small suit, his too short tie, and his worn shoes. And something happened. His voice stopped shaking. His spine straightened. And the room went still. Good evening, he said. My name is Jalen Brooks. I build technology for kids who look like me, because too often the world doesn't just shut us out of buildings, it shuts us out of opportunity. His voice rang out, clear, controlled, commanding. Tonight, I'm not just pitching an app. I'm pitching a future, one where doors don't have to be broken down just to be opened. The silence held, then exploded into applause. Not a polite clap, but a full-body standing ovation. Tears in the eyes of people who had once looked past him, for investors approached him before dessert. By morning, his inbox was flooded, and the city? It woke up to headlines. Mayor Evans walks into gala with banned youth innovator, sparks policy reform at elite venues. Aspen Ridge issued a public apology, suspended Glenford indefinitely, and, perhaps more importantly, the city council passed a new ordinance requiring inclusion and anti-bias training for all public-private venues hosting youth and community events. It didn't undo what happened, but it changed what would happen next. For the next Jalen, and the one after that, Jalen didn't yell. He didn't fight. He didn't throw a stone through the glass. He just stood long enough for someone in power to walk through it with him. And when he walked off that stage, he walked like he belonged, because he did. Lesson? Sometimes you don't have the right look, the right shoes, the right background, but none of that defines your worth. When the world tries to shut the door, stand there anyway, and if they won't let you in, call someone who remembers how many doors were shut on them too, because one day you'll be that someone for someone else. Jalen Brooks didn't kick the door down. He made them open it, and in doing so, he cracked it open for every young mind who'd been told, you don't belong here. Remember this. You deserve to be in every room. Your ideas can serve. Whether you come in through the front door or walk in with the mayor, thank you for watching today's story. If this moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own worth, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your voice matters here. Until next time, stay strong, stay seen, and never stop building what they say you can't.